At the PC Gaming Show, Red Barrels unveiled a new trailer for the Outlast trials. There is a description in the video. Rumours of an escape have started to spread in the Sinyala facility amongst reagents and staff alike. Murkoff has initially denied the claims, but during the project breach, you will be acquainted with Amelia Collier, an escaped reagent living within the walls of the trials. Amelia Collier was born in Rockford, Illinois on the 3rd of June 1934. Making her 25 around the time she escaped, she was born to a prostitute. Her mother left or died when she was young, leaving her to be raised by a pimp. He dies in a suspicious car crash when Amelia is 13. It seems even at 13, Amelia had the knack for tinkering with gadgets and somehow rigged her surrogate father's car to crash. Amelia is arrested for crimes of misdemeanor, fraud, and car theft. The first time she approached a Murkoff charitable outreach center, she left halfway through the interview. The processing agent notes that she asks several questions about another reagent named Damon Green. 3 days later, she returns and volunteers for the trials and is transported to the Sinyala facility. Damon Green is either a love interest or someone dear to Amelia. Sometime afterwards, Amelia goes missing somewhere in the facility. During Project Countdown, Amelia and her group entered the docks and managed to escape the confines of the trial environment. Clyde Perry is brought in to help find her. He goes to Doris to ask her for information on the missing reagent. She doesn't feel like sharing, but he finds a way to convince her. She tells him the missing reagent is Amelia Collier, and that she is looking for her lover. He then uses the information in her file to find Damon Green. Perry investigates Green. He tells Perry that if Amelia is in the trials, she's probably watching them now, and that once she sets her mind on something, there's nothing you can do to stop her. Perry says that the people of Illinois wouldn't be happy with the two together. Interracial couples were presumably frowned upon in 1950s Illinois. Perry pokes out the eyes of Green. Perry pokes out Green's eyes with a steel skewer hooked up to a battery. Green dies during the torture and is dumped into the waste disposal area. Amelia is hiding in the waste disposal area and discovers the corpse of her partner, riddled with skewers. Some of Damon Green's final words are, "I expect she has her mind set on tearing this place to the ground." The death of her partner will only fuel Amelia. With grief and anger, she is determined to take down Easterman and destroy the Sinyala facility. Let's talk about her appearance. Amelia has 2 different lenses on her glasses. This is likely due to being outside of the trials for a while and having to improvise, adapt, and overcome, using whatever scraps she finds, hinting at her resourcefulness, making her the Bear Grylls of the trials, albeit with fewer hotels and less piss drinking. She wears a blue shirt with an embroidered patch on the chest with the Bingo Fuel logo on it. She has bandages wrapped around each hand, as well as one wrapped around her right thigh. I last talked about Amelia in my video on Project Countdown. There was an evidence file, an apology, where Reagent 1733, who was observed ritualistically defacing the corpse of another reagent, uttered the word, I'm sorry, Amelia." The words they have carved into the victim were everyone, greed, regret, everyone, greed, opportunity, regret. These were words which were hidden inside Morse code that were broadcast on the radios found in the trials during Project Countdown. We had suspected that Amelia had something to do with them, but now we have confirmation. Reagent 1733 is likely just a twisted victim of the trials, who became obsessed with Amelia's broadcasts. Speaking of the broadcasts, there is an evidence file referencing it in the Radio Free Sinyala folder, where Scarfiotti is talking to Noakes. Every element of the trials is carefully placed and adjusted for maximum psychological impact. We don't know who put the radios there, and observing scientists reported odd static emanating from within the recorded message. Maybe you hasn't noticed this whole place has fallen apart. Has been since the jump. Scarfiotti. Security attempted to retrieve the radio, but learned you had already removed it from the trial environment. Noakes. Sure man, maybe. I fix a lot of shit. You said this radio is broke? Scarfiotti. I suspect the radio was sabotaged, and when security came to your shop, they found the radio completely disassembled. Its recording tape burnt. It seems Noakes is trying to assist Amelia. Hopefully he'll give Reagents new toys to play with. So how exactly does Amelia manage to escape this trial? Let's look at the evidence file, Maskless, an entry in the escapist folder. Internal security expressed concerns about the discrepancy between the exit shuttle records and cleanup crew report. They say 4 reagents entered a Project Countdown trial in the docks environment. However, only 3 reagents exited the trial. Cleanup crew reported 0 additional reagent corpses inside the trial environment. They say the discrepancy was originally explained by Project Countdown activity and the likely explosive destruction of the 4th reagent's corpse. However, earlier detonated reagents left hands, feet, and large skull fragments. The cleanup crew also reported discovery of an unconscious Pusher-class experimental population, discovered without his gas mask. I also want to highlight an older evidence file named Integrity of the Enclosure. Moses Scarfiotti says he wants to be on the record requesting additional security. He says in order to make this a functional heroin refinery, we are necessarily given reagents and experimental population access to highly corrosive and combustible chemicals, which could potentially be used to threaten the integrity of the enclosure. It is possible that Amelia has harnessed these chemicals to make her escape. Staff were aware of this, and yet somehow she managed to escape. Decision makers in the Sinyala facility are becoming careless. This spells bad news for Murkoff and the integrity of the trials. I imagine things will begin to unravel in the future. Amelia's disappearance hasn't gone unnoticed. A. Bradley Alvalanos expressed her concern in the evidence file Lab Rat. She says forensic of the April 11th dock trial discrepancy are extremely concerning. Reagent 0741, a male reagent and presumed co-conspirator of Amelia's, has been separated for interrogation. They say bare footprints were observed on the far right side of the ex-population insert gate. Likewise, evidence of vandalism was discovered, mechanical and electrical components removed and missing. They know Amelia is resourceful, and they are concerned. This concern is aired out in a conference between Alvalanos and Easterman. In the evidence file Blame, Hendrik Easterman and Alvalanos discuss the crisis involving the breach after receiving the report from security personnel and stopping it from reaching the board. Alvalanos insists Easterman, who has been training all subjects, must leverage his knowledge to identify and resolve the breach. Alvalanos says, whoever this lab rat is, they're your lab rat. You trained them. You know how they think. Scarfiotti doesn't know about the breach, and Easterman suggests he should be brought in on this. If the rat's trying to get out, Scarfiotti would know the weakest points in the perimeter. However, interrogations yield no useful information, as Clyde Perry reports. Initial interrogations of reagents present at the time of the escape have proven unfruitful. All 3 insist that they went into the trial without a 4th member. Possible that base-level suffering of reagents in the Sinyala facility is undercutting the effectiveness of torture as a tool of interrogation. We hear more from our pal Dr. Hendrik Juliet Easterman in a private journal entry. He reveals anxiety and frustration over the ongoing failure to locate the escaped lab rat. Despite his supposed influence over the test subjects, he feels blindsided by the secretive behavior among them. He says, I'm supposed to own these people's dreams. How can they keep secrets from me? Perry has restricted his involvement in the investigations, further aggravating his sense of hopelessness. Of this, he says, infuriating, I can't lose control. He dusts off a quote from Leyland Coyle, which he thinks matches his predicament. I don't care about control, I want authority. Can you have authority over yourself without control? Maybe I don't worry about it. Maybe they'll torture me to death. Reflecting on Leyland Coyle's statement about authority versus control, Easterman questions his own agency and bleakly considers the possibility of being subjected to torture if the board finds out. Easterman's look changes when he identifies the escaped subject during interrogations of test subject 0741. Amelia, I know the name of the rat in the walls. Amelia. Perry, with his electrodes and steel skewers, couldn't break Amelia's co-conspirators. And then I remembered, I own these people's dreams. I had them cleaned up, returned to their cells, and drugged for the usual paralytic trauma therapy. I was alone when 0741 spoke the name Amelia. Considering his state, I could only question him on a totemic level regarding Amelia, who he has elevated her to something like a prophet. I questioned the others in a similar state, and got confirmation of our little lab rat's name. A manual record search is prohibitively time-consuming on my own, with nothing but a first name. But who can I tell? Who can I trust? Nobody, nobody, nobody. 3 days, Amelia, you've been in the walls. What are you doing? When do you make your break for it? With no one to trust and limited tools for tracking her manually, Easterman remains in isolation, anxious about her movements as she hides within the facility. The clock is ticking. Amelia's intentions and next steps remain unknown.
Wait for my word. Be ready. They're gonna pay for what they did to us.
I'm very excited to experience the new trials in Season 2. I like the thought of Amelia flipping the facility on its head and sabotaging the trials. As Reagents, we will be caught between two opposing forces. I wonder if Reagents will work with her, since she's been viewed as a prophet. We know Noakes and Doris seem to be keen on helping her. I hope they can work the power dynamic into the objectives and gameplay. We've seen snippets of new areas teased in shorts, so I'll definitely be taking a look at them. Get subscribed if you want to hear my future impressions on Winter Kills, Season 2, and Project Breach. Thank you for watching.